Hello, my name is Abigail Young, and I'm here to walk you through the 5 steps to finding the perfect editor for your book. The first step is for you to realize why you need an editor. As a writer, I know how hard it is to have anyone criticize something I've written. I'm an editor as well as a writer, so I see this whole thing from both sides. On the side of the writer, I see that my book is like my baby. It's very fragile. I'm very fragile when it comes to my baby. I'm very sensitive about my book and who says what about it. But on the other side, I'm an editor and I'm seeing all these other people's book babies. And I see the potential and I see the promise and I see the beauty there. But I also see a lot of ways in which these babies need to grow up. Writers are just too close to their work to see the flaws, see the rabbit trails, see the rough edges that need to be smoothed. This is why you need an editor. You need an objective third party to look at your book and say, yes, I see the potential. Yes, I see that this could be a great thing. But we need to do a few things first. And it might hurt at the time, but in the end you're going to be so grateful because that little baby is going to grow up into an amazing book that's going to influence so many people because you were willing to be vulnerable enough to put that book out there for a little critique and hear what a professional has to say about it. Now that you know why you need an editor, you need to find out what kind of editor you need. Believe it or not, there are many different kinds of editors, and they each come in at a different stage in the writing process. So let's start with the developmental editor. Developmental editors are often called in at the very, very beginning. Maybe you've only written a very rough draft of the book you eventually want to publish, and you're not sure exactly what you should keep and what you should throw out. Maybe you have questions about the overall organization of the manuscript, and this is where a developmental editor acts almost like a writing coach. They can help you sort out the direction of your book, maybe even work on the marketing plan for your book. Who is your book for? Who is your ideal reader? And what part of the market will your book fit into once it's published? A developmental editor helps you with all these things at the very beginning before you have time to make a lot of mistakes that will need to be fixed. The next kind of editor is a line or content editor. This is someone who also deals with big picture issues, but on a smaller scale than a developmental editor. If you've written a fiction book, a line editor will look for plot holes. They'll look for character development issues. They'll look for things that might jar a reader in your language, in the flow of how the chapters flow into one another. This is someone who is objective, who is professional, who's seen a lot of manuscripts before, and they can figure out exactly what works and what doesn't in your manuscript. They're not going to fix little things like commas or grammatical errors. They're focused on the flow of language and your style and the content issues that may have been left over even after the developmental edit. The next kind of editor you'll need is a copy editor. Now, you can be an amazing author. You could be on the New York Times bestseller list, but you still need a copy editor. And the reason is that no writer is perfect. We all make mistakes and we are all blind to many of those mistakes. A copy editor is going to take care of those nitty-gritty details like commas and dashes and missing words and odd misspellings. They are going to look at your manuscript on a very micro level with a laser eye that has been trained and honed over years of experience, hopefully, to see every little jot and tittle that could be wrong. The last kind of editor you can have is called a proofreader. And this proofreader is someone who takes a look at the finished product of your book. Up until now, your book has been a manuscript in a Microsoft Word document. But now your book is making the translation to the page. I recommend that you have a proofreader go over a printed copy of your book. Before your book goes into publication, you're going to receive one or more proof copies. And this is a physical copy of your book, And you or someone else, and I recommend someone else, because again, you are blind to your own mistakes, will go through page by page, paragraph by paragraph, line by line, and see if there's anything that's been missed. And I can almost guarantee you something has been missed, even if your manuscript has been through a developmental edit, line edit, copy edit or two. So before you release your baby into the world for all the readers to see, you need to take a really good look at your proof copy and make sure it is sparkling. That would be the last step that you would go through before releasing your book to the world. So how do you go about finding the perfect editor for your book? The answer is research. Research, research, research. You need to go online, talk to your fellow writers, look at the acknowledgement sections of your favorite books, and find out who the copy editors and line editors and developmental editors are out there. You have to find out who has experience, because the truth is anyone can call themselves an editor. You don't need a degree, you don't need a certification, you don't need to be part of a guild or anything. You can just call yourself an editor. The proof is in the reviews. If someone can produce reviews from other authors they've worked with, if they can give you the titles of books that you can then check out and read through and see what kind of job they did, that is fantastic. If you're not sure where to start looking for an editor, I'm going to share a link at the end of the video that should make this step of the process a breeze. This leads me to step number 4. You need to get a sample edit. Reach out to 2 or 3 or more editors and ask them for a 500 to 1,000 word sample edit. Take a section of your book, send it off to them. They should do this for free. When you get the sample edit back, take a very close look at it and maybe get 2 or 3 other people to give you their opinions as well. Do you find that this editor has missed anything? If you've hired a copy editor and you see a grammatical or spelling mistake in your sample edit, run away. If they were not careful on the 500 to 1,000 words you sent them, then they are not going to be careful on your whole book. If you asked for a content edit and they don't give you any feedback on anything being wrong about your writing, that might also be a clue. Maybe you are God's gift to readers and you're the perfect writer, but I doubt it. You're paying this person to catch your mistakes. And so if they're just all full of glowing praise and gushing about how amazing you are, and they don't point out anything you need to change, that is a major red flag. You also want an editor who is going to honor your voice. If you see that they have given you harsh feedback, unwarranted criticism, or they are attacking your content and the message that you're trying to communicate, stay far away. You're looking for someone who's going to treat you as a fellow professional and who is going to honor your voice and give your book the dignity it deserves. You may be asking, how much is this going to cost to put my book through all these levels of editing? And that's a really good question. My 5th step for picking a perfect editor for your book is deciding on a realistic price that fits your budget. Editing prices are hard to calculate because there are so many variables. If you're going for a budget editor who doesn't have a lot of experience, they may charge bargain basement prices, but the product may not be great. If you're going with the professional editor who has worked with New York Times best-selling authors, you're going to be paying a pretty penny, but the work will probably be amazing. It also depends on the length of your manuscript. Editing a 30,000 word book is way different than editing a 300,000 word book. The key here is realistic expectations. If your budget is $500 to take your book from a rough first draft to a publishable manuscript, you're probably not going to get something you want in the end. However, if you don't shop around and you go with the first editor you'll come across, it could be that you will end up paying way more than you need to for a quality edit. That's why you need to get quotes from several different editors and see several different sample edits before making your decision. Also, don't be afraid to talk to your editor about your budget. Say, this is how much I have to spend, what can you give me for that? And try to find the editor who will be able to give you the biggest bang for your buck. If you've gone through all 5 of these steps, realizing why you need an editor, discovering which kind of editor is right for you, finding an editor who is vetted and has great reviews, getting a sample edit and looking at it very closely, and deciding on a realistic price that fits your budget and is fair to your editor, then you're well on your way to hiring the perfect editor for your book. If you are looking for a professional editor who comes with glowing reviews from other authors and is happy to provide a free sample edit and quote, look no further than the Guild. The Guild is a gathering of highly skilled editors who would be thrilled to take your book baby in hand and grow it into a mature book that can stand on its own and spread your message to the world.